Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Katie here, and because I have 3 weeks off of work because of New Zealand shutting down during the holidays, I have time to do a couple more videos, which is exciting. And speaking of the 3-week break that we get, we took some of that time, only 3 days actually, to go down to Queenstown and Milford Sound and spend a little bit of time in Wanaka as well with our friends. And so that's what I want to tell you about today and really document this, because this trip was incredible. And to know that we did all of this in 3 days, I wish we would have spent a lot more time down there, but it's so nice because we can go back whenever we want and do all of these things whenever we want because we're here. Oh my gosh, if you are planning a trip to New Zealand, or even if you live in New Zealand and you haven't spent time in Queenstown or done Milford Sound, it is absolutely stunning. And like I said, we were only there for 3 days, and well, not even 3 days. We drove down. We were at Milford Sound for a day, or driving there. I'll explain it all. And then we came back. So not even a full, honestly, like 36 hours, and it was just incredible. Like I said, we drove down with some friends, and luckily we had another friend watch Meredith, which is super great. She's playing with her snuffle mat right now, all of her toys. But so we drove down, we left at 8 or so in the morning. First stop was at Lake Tekapo, which we have been to multiple times. They've taken my best friend and her sister there, and Keaton's parents came, and we took them there as well. And it's just, I don't know why she's growling. It's just so beautiful. The water is gorgeous. Lake Pukaki is gorgeous on your way out of Lake Tekapo. And Lake Tekapo was the first place we got to see lupins. I've seen so many like Instagram reels of them and photos, but to get to see them in real life was beautiful. I know that they're invasive and that they're a weed and that they are poisonous to cattle, but they are beautiful. So I think somebody else commented that they were introduced to New Zealand from elsewhere, but when you're driving the whole way, basically from Tekapo, then like you see more when you're in Queenstown, and then they're just kind of everywhere at this time of year, and they really are pretty. So we definitely took the opportunity to take some snaps at Lake Tekapo and get a snack and eat lunch. And then we drove the rest of the way to Queenstown, which Lake Tekapo is like exactly halfway, so it's not a bad stop. Drove the rest of the way to Queenstown, dropped our stuff off at our Airbnb, and went into town. Of course, we stopped and got ice cream at Patagonia chocolates, and just like walked around town. A lot of things were closed, one because things are shut down, but also New Zealand closes early, so I think we got there around 6 or 7 we were into town, and a lot of things were closed, but cool to walk around. Queenstown is such a cool town, obviously very, very, very tourist heavy, which is sometimes fun to walk around and like hear all of the different accents around, and then sometimes you're like, I know that I have an American accent, but I promise I'm not a tourist, kind of a thing. Like that's like one thing when we meet people and they're like, where are you from? I'm like, oh, I'm from America, but I live in Christchurch. They're like, oh great, then you're from Christchurch. I'm like, thank you. That night we went back to our Airbnb and just had some wine with our friends in our rooms. And it was funny because one of our friends looked up and could see through the bathroom window just like the pink of the sky. She's like, we have to go look at that. And so we literally went into the bathtub and opened the window of the bathroom instead of going outside. And it was a gorgeous sunset. So here's a picture of that. The like laziness, but also just wanting to see it was funny. I wish we had gotten a picture of us just standing in the bathtub watching the sunset. That next morning we got up because we got up early because it was our day to travel to Milford Sound. So it's basically a 12-13 hour day. You get on the bus in Queenstown and then you get bussed all the way to Milford Sound. Our bus was from Southern Discoveries, and I highly, highly, highly recommend bus and cruise little package that they have that we did. We had a driver by the name of Keith, and he was awesome. He was so much fun. I get really car sick, and so we paid for like quote unquote premium seats. They were just the front row, which turned out to work out really well. Keith was from Christchurch. We just had lots of good chats on the way there and on the way back, so shout out to Keith. He'll never watch this, but shout out to Keith. It was really cool because on the way, he, of course, was telling us fun facts about the area and the history, as well as we got to stop at all different spots along the way, like Tiano and Tiano Downs, which was absolutely gorgeous. I think everywhere that we stopped, he told us a little bit about each, and then we just kind of got out and looked around, and it was just amazing that, you know, on the side of the road is just this like gorgeous spot that was just there and was just always there. He even was like, if you guys want to see a really pretty weed, it's going to be coming up on your left. And we stopped at another loop and field, got tons more pictures there, so I will insert them here. Once again, so gorgeous. I want to recognize that they are invasive before anybody comes for me in the comments, but they're really pretty, and they are, from what I understand, their season is like December, January, and then that's kind of it. So there's so many people taking pictures, and multiple buses had stopped and all of that stuff because it's a sight to see. It's gorgeous, and then with, you know, the lupins and New Zealand in the background, it's just beautiful. Coffee. We also stopped at this little stream, and Keith was like, take your water bottles. It's water directly from the mountains, so you can fill up your water. It's really cold, it's fresh, it's really great. So took out my water and went to find a spot, and I found a little area where it was like falling, and I was like, ooh, I want to get my water from there. So I like climbed down the side of the water, and it was slipping, but I was like, oh, it's fine, like not that big of a deal, it's like right there. I got the water, I was putting the lid on. Keaton comes over, he's talking to me, and all of a sudden my foot slips and I fall into the stream, up to my hip on my right leg and only half of my left leg. And honestly, it was so warm that day that like my leggings dried pretty quick, but when we were on the cruise at Milford Sound, I took both my socks and my shoes off because they were soaking wet. I got back to the bus, I was like, Keith, I fell in. And he was like, what, you're trying to be one with nature? So it was really funny. But yep, fell in the water. I don't know how many people saw me do it because there was a lot of tourists there. And I just acted like it was fine. But it was very cold. It felt good. If it was a cold day, it would not have felt that great. But the water was really cold and it was really good. So I have no complaints. Honestly, I'm sure I'm not the first one that's fallen in. From there, we drove the rest of the way to Milford Sound and parked the bus, yada, yada, yada. Got on the boat that was going to cruise into the Sounds. There was a good amount of people on it, but we still had tons of room. We basically stayed on the top deck the whole time so we could see everything. It was super windy on the way out of the Sounds, and then on the way back in, there was like no wind at all. So honestly, it was a gorgeous day. It was a little chilly, but the sun was shining and it was just beautiful. We got so lucky because dolphins started like swimming with us. I could cry thinking about it. It was the most like majestic thing I have ever seen. They were following the front of the boat, and we like ran down to the front, and they were hopping out of the water, and it was just incredible, absolutely incredible. And the guy that was like announcing things over the boat was saying that they hadn't seen dolphins in the last couple of weeks, so we got super lucky that we saw them. Oh my gosh, we got so many pictures and videos, and I will never forget that. Like looking at the dolphins popping up out of the water and swimming truly with the boat, and then looking up and seeing Milford Sound, I was like, how is this real? How is this real? But it is, and you can go see it. So like I said, it was a really sunny day. Keaton and I really want to go back in winter because while the like permanent waterfalls were stunning and like it absolutely insane, we're told that when it's raining or when it has rained within the last couple of days, or even it's raining on that day, even though you'd get drenched if you were on the top, there's even more waterfalls, and it's a different kind of gorgeous kind of a thing. So we'll definitely be going back because we want to see it in like all of its glory. And we were talking to Keith, and he said that in the winter, like so much of what we drove through is like covered in snow, which it was green and green pastures, and it was beautiful, but I can just like picture it all like in a white blanket of snow, and it would be gorgeous. So we'll definitely have to go back in winter. We drove back after the cruise. You know, you go the same way, so like if you want to fall asleep, you can fall asleep because you've already seen it. But I was just like taking it all in again and talking to Keith. It was just, yeah, a beautiful drive. It's very windy, so thank goodness we were sitting in the front, otherwise I would have gotten really sick. Of course, we came back to Queenstown and got Ferg Burger, because how can you not when you're in Queenstown? Stood in line for at least an hour, and then another like 30 minutes after we put in our order to then get our food, but worth it. It was really good, especially after a long day. We had packed our lunch and like snacks and stuff for the day, but it's always nice to have a like solid hearty meal at the end of a long day. So that was really our only full day in Queenstown, which we weren't even in Queenstown the whole time. We were in Queenstown and then Milford Sound. But the next morning we woke up, had some coffee, and then drove to Wanaka. I've heard a lot of incredible things about Wanaka and, you know, seen a lot of incredible things. So I was super keen to go there, and it was worth it. And I want to go back like today. If only. I know that a lot of people have batches there, which if you're not from New Zealand, a batch is like a second home or like a lake house or something. That's, I think, what we would call it in the States. Like if you have like your regular house and then you have like your lake house or where you go to vacation. It's called a batch in New Zealand. There's a beautiful lake, and there's tons of people doing water sports on the lake. Tons of cute little shops and coffee shops, and we had really great breakfast. And then one of our friends was getting crepes, and across the street there was what looked like either like a train car or a like shipping container kind of a thing, but it was a bookstore. And so I walked across the street while they were waiting, and it was like heaven in a bookstore. They were playing Taylor Swift, which we're going to Taylor's concert in Australia in February, so we love her. But like acoustic Taylor Swift, and books like floor to ceiling, and like it's pretty compact. And it was just like the perfect vibe. So I told Keaton, I was like, when I retire, my dream is to just have a bookstore in a like shipping container kind of a thing, which would be so fun. And I took so many pictures of books that I want to read, and I've already started reading a couple of them because our library in Christchurch is really great. So yeah, so Wanaka is so cute, and I want to go back as soon as possible. I think Keaton's parents would love Wanaka. It's definitely their vibe. So when they hopefully come to visit again, we will need to take them there. We also went to the lavender fields in Wanaka, and oh my gosh, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. The smell, like you park your car and you can smell the lavender. It's beautiful. We didn't go fully into the farm, but they have a cute little shop that we got a little tea towel, and I got lavender and honey ice cream. So good, so good. So we also need to go back there and take some pictures. So you could see all like the little families running around the farm, and it was really cute. So definitely check that out if you are in Wanaka. Oh, also the Wanaka tree, can't forget about that. Super famous tree standing by itself in like just off the shore of the lake, and so many people were taking pictures, but seeing the tree and like the glimmer of the water and then the like mountains in the background, it was just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. We really, like, that was our 3 days, like driving there, like Tekapo, Queenstown, Milford Sound, Furburger, waking up, going to Wanaka. That was like literally, we did all of that in a span of 3 days. And like I said, I wish we could have spent longer, and we could have, but we needed to get back home to Meredith. And like it was super cost effective to just go down there for 2 nights and like experience everything. I feel like we did honestly treat it as like a tourist trip of like seeing as much as we can in a short amount of time. And then maybe later we can go back and like spend time there and just like relax there instead of like go. But it was worth the trip for sure. And then of course we had to get back home and put our house together and things like that, which is coming along really nicely. Having 3 weeks off from work is amazing. Such a privilege. And really, I've taken this time to read and obviously put the house together and look after Meredith and get her trained. Now she's chewing on a different toy. She's so black. It's kind of crazy how dark. She just looks like a blob. But it's been so good to just kind of rest as well. I had 3 different jobs this year, which seems like a lot, and I've never like been that person to like flip-flop jobs all the time, but I feel like I have finally found my fit working in people and culture, and I absolutely love it. And I'm really excited to see what this next year brings for work and for life. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I feel like now we really are truly settled here in Christchurch. We have incredible friends that I'm so grateful for. We have a home, and the list could go on and on, truly. And a dog. But there's so many more good things that I think are on their way, which makes me really excited. So that's enough schmoozing. I just got really sentimental and I don't even know why. Sorry about that. But yeah, go to Milford Sound, go to Queenstown, go to Wanaka, come to Christchurch, hang out. yeah, New Zealand's beautiful. I don't honestly think that will ever change, but I'll end you with that. Thank you so much again for watching, and I'll see you again next time.